Hello guys, RevitWiz here. Welcome back to my YouTube channel again. So I've created this Revit beginners course for you to show you how to work with a linked architectural model. You can see this is a linked model, and how to actually take some of the architectural floors and walls and elements, grids and levels, and copy and monitoring it into your project and making it quite easy for you to extract all the architectural data that's related within structures and making a whole structural drawing look like this, something like this. So I cover a few topics, actually a lot of topics in this specific tutorial with regards to work sets, connections, walls, foundations, and I give you a lot of tips within these specific topics that I do discuss. So if you want to learn more, please stay tuned. Okay guys, so let's start by opening a new project. So you go to, on the models, you just go to new, and then you can choose a template file. So if you have a template file already set up within your company, or you have your own template file, you can just go to browse and find wherever you've saved this specific template. But for this example, I'm going to use the structural template that's been given by Revit. So I'm going to click on that and just say OK. And then once it's opened, I will just show you the project browser is here on the left. That's how I set up my working space. And then the properties are on the right. This is quite important to always have these two specific browsers open, so that once you work within your project, you can quickly change settings and go to views. But obviously you'll learn that as we go, so you'll see how important this is. If not one of them are shown on your screen, you can just go here to view and then user interface. Make sure the project browser is ticked and also the properties. So you can click on this properties and move it, and you can shift it to that side. You'll see once you just move it towards the edge of your screen, it automatically snaps to the edge. Okay, so let's start by bringing in the architectural drawing. So you go to insert and then link Revit. Then you go to wherever you have saved this specific file of yours that you can download in the comments or in the description below. So mine is saved under my steel course here. So it's this architectural model. So before you just say open, just come here and go and check these different types of settings that you can choose before you actually open it. So for this example, I'm just going to say manual center. So it will give me the option where to actually place this, and then I'll say open. Now you can see it's hovering around as I move my mouse, so I can place it anywhere. So I'm going to place it, let's say, more or less here in the center. So something like that. We can, if we want to move it up a bit, let's say we want it here, and this is our final position. Now what we want to do is we want to go and pin this Revit file. Okay, so we click on the Revit file and we go and pin it here, or you can press PN on your keyboard. So the reason why we pin this is if I try and move this, so if you click on move there and you try and move this, it's going to tell you it's pinned. It cannot be moved. Okay, so the reason we do this is to ensure that if we're working in our Revit space and we accidentally move this without knowing that we've moved it, it can be quite a big problem once you are quite far into your project in terms of information. Okay, so now that we've established that, we can now start with work sets. So the reason I use work sets, I see it the same more or less as layers within AutoCAD. So if you've worked with AutoCAD before, you know that it's better to work on layers. So what you will do is you go to collaborate, and then here are Worksets. So you click on Worksets, and all it's going to tell you is that you must be careful once you activate this and so forth. But we're just gonna say okay for the moment. So as we go, I'll explain to you why we do this. So now these are the two preset work sets that Revit creates for you. Okay, so what we want to do is go and create our own work sets, and then we will place our specific elements on those work sets. The reason for this is if you have this specific file saved on a server, let's say at your company, and you are maybe 3 people that's working on this project, you guys can assign yourself work sets and then work with those specific work sets simultaneously. So you can work, for instance, in workset 1 and your colleague can work in the shared levels. So anything that's within workset 1, he can move around and shift and so forth. So that's also the reason for working in worksets. And then the other reason is if you work in worksets, it's just easier once the architect links your model to his architectural model. So he can actually go and switch off certain worksets in your model if he does not want to display them. Okay, so that's quite important to work in worksets. So let's set up some worksets here. I'm going to set up my own worksets. You can use mine or you can make your own. So I just use STR for structure abbreviation, and then I'm going to start with structural steel and say okay, make a new one, STR. So you can obviously forward this portion if you want to do your own work sets, or you can just keep watching here. So just bear with me, do some surface bits, and then we will do brick walls. So just on brick walls, the only time I draw brick walls is when they are load bearing or when they are obviously requiring a foundation. So I'll show you as we go how I draw in the specific brick walls, because that's also how you need to collaborate with your architect and basically tell him that you are going to model these walls to a specific height that he then applies his specific heights to his drawings, so that once you share your models you don't have duplicated walls. But I'll show you as we go. So there are retaining walls, and then we can do the foundations, and then let's say we have some concrete columns, just say reinforced concrete columns, and then this one, apologies, RC beams. Okay, so I think that's all for now. Oh, we can actually do, these are quite important, almost forgot them, the levels and also the grids. Okay, so you'll see here there's already shared levels and grids, but I'm going to delete that one, and I'm just going to say move to, where is my let's say just do the levels one and say okay. And we can also delete the work set. Oh, we can't delete that one because it's currently set as the main work set. So just for the moment say okay. Or let's change this, sorry, we can change it here, active work set. We're going to start with our grids, so let's just put it to grids, and then let's see if we can delete it now. Okay, not yet. Okay, just say okay. Let's go back into the work sets. Okay, it seems like we can't delete this one, but it's okay, just keep it there. All right, so now we have created our work sets, and now we can start working with the architectural drawing. So make sure before you start that your work set here at the bottom is set to grids, because we're going to start working with the grids now. So you can start by doing your grid lines, going to structure here and going to the grid system, and then you can go and actually draw in the grid here like that, or I'm just going to delete it, or you can go and pick the line. So if I pick that line, obviously that's now going to become number 2 because I've already created number 1. That's just how Revit works. And then you can click on that one, that will be 3, 4, etc. But I feel there's an easier way to do this. You don't want to go and reinvent the wheel. So this will apply for the levels as well. So what we will do is we will go to collaborate, because the architect has already done the work for you. So go to collaborate, you go to copy monitor, say select link, because the link is the Revit link of the architect that we want to use. So as you hover over it, you'll see this square or rectangle that lights up, and then you just click your mouse button. Then you will see this copy and monitor tools up here on the left. And then what we can do now is we can go and copy in these grids from the architect's drawing. Okay, so before I do that, you can go here, before you say copy, you go to options. I just want to show you that there are 5 different categories that you can copy from an architectural Revit linked file. You can do the levels, the grids, columns, walls, and floors. So anything else that you want to copy in this method, you cannot do that. Let's say for instance a roof. I'll show you how to bring in a roof later on. If you can't, but why you can't? Because you can't use this method. Okay, so just note here if we're gonna work with the grids. So you can see here the original type. This means it's the architectural type, the 6.5 millimeter bubble. Then the new type, this is what we want this grid to look like. So if you click here, there's a drop down menu. You'll see that you'll have this bubble custom gap and then just a bubble gap. Okay, so these are preset by Revit. So if you have your own template within your company, you might have different grid lines already set up, which you can choose here. But for this exercise, I'm just going to go with this bubble. Okay, you just say okay. Then you can go to copy, and then you can go and select them individually, or you can go here to multiple and click that multiple button. So that's how I do it. Click the multiple. Then you can go and highlight them like that. So I have highlighted those 3. Then if you want to continue highlighting, press Ctrl on your keyboard and hold it down while you highlight the rest of the grid lines. You'll note that it also highlighted the floor, but that's okay. It's not copied in anything yet. So just keep on highlighting all the grid lines by pressing and keeping in control on your keyboard while using your mouse button. So once I've done that, I can now go here to filter, and you can see we've selected 14 grid lines and we selected 1 floor. So we want to untick that floor because we only want to bring in the grids for now. And I want to say okay. Alright, and then what you can do is you can just click the finish button here. Don't click that finish button. Let's just see. Yeah, it's still on grids, even though it's just showing that floor still. Might be a little glitch of Revit, but that's okay. So you can see there's a finish button here and a finish button there. Don't click that one. If you click that one, it's not going to bring in the grids. You must click this one. So click finish, and you'll note it's brought in the architectural grid lines, which is now obviously your grid lines. But it doesn't look like much because you can't actually see the difference. That's because it brings in the architectural grids exactly the length and the size, because it's the exact same thing. So you'll note that you'll see these little, looks like a heartbeat type of thing. That's just a monitoring system. So if the architect will change anything within his layout in terms of the grids now, and you reload the architectural link, it'll pick that up. But I am not gonna concentrate on that in this specific tutorial. So just say stop monitoring and it'll switch that off. Okay, so now we can just say finish because we've finished bringing in the grid lines. So if we want to see the difference between your drawing and the architectural link, just press VV on your keyboard and go to Revit links and just say halftone here on the architectural link and say apply and okay. Now you'll see in the background the architectural drawing has been grayed so that you can just distinguish between the black and the gray, which will be the black would be your drawings and the gray would be the architectural. So I'm just going to move this up to show you there in the background there's the architectural grids. Just going to undo that. Okay, if you want to then have your bubbles on both sides of this grid line, you can just click on the one grid and say edit type and just tick that button there to put on the plan view symbol on the other end and say apply and okay. It just looks better from my perspective if you put that on. Okay, now that we've done that, we can now focus on the levels. So it might seem time consuming, but you need to set up your drawing correctly before you actually start doing any work in it. So let's just go to any elevation. Let's maybe go to the north elevation. Here you can see your grid lines that we've brought in. And now you can see here there's some levels here, but we can't really distinguish between whose levels are whose levels. Okay, so say VB on your keyboard again, go to Revit links and just say halftone here and say apply and okay. Now you can see we as the engineers, we have two levels that's been preset by Revit, which is level 1 and level 2. Here in your browser, project browser, you can see level 1 and level 2. Okay, so we want to add in a roof line, and I just want to show you, we can't really see what the description says there. Just change your scale here, maybe to 1 to 50. So that is level 1 at 3 meters. You still can't see 1 to 25, and then you have a ceiling at 2.7. So we're not going to worry too much about the ceiling level. I'm not going to do a additional level for the ceiling. That's something the architect will use. Okay, so I'm just going to bring the scale back to 1 to 100 so we can just focus again on the levels. Now we can once again bring in this architectural level here. How we can do that is once again go to collaborate, then copy monitor, select link, then hover over it like this and click the link. Then you go to copy, and you don't have to say multiple because we're only bringing in that one level. And then I'll just click on that level and you'll see that it's brought in that level. So there you can see it. I just want to pull it to this side. You'll see that it will snap to the center of your levels. Okay, so there it is at 6 meters roof line, and there you go. So you'll just notice on the left here that it did not create a structural plan for us for the roof level. So how we fix this is, okay, we can just click finish here because we've already brought in the levels we wanted from the architect. So how you fix this is you go to view and you go to plan view and then you click on structural plan. What this will show you is all the plan or the levels that does not have a plan associated to it. So if you had more levels in here that you brought in from the architect, it would not obviously have a structural plan linked to it, so you'll obviously see them in here. So I'm gonna just obviously click on roofline and say okay. So that will then create our new, or not new, it will just create a structural plan for us which is related to that specific level. Okay, so then what we can do is just go back to our north view. So we also focus obviously on foundations. So we want to put in a level here, which is below level 1 for our specific foundation level. All right, so we can do it in the following steps. But before we do that, let's just go to a 3D view to understand the building a bit better. So you go here to the top and click on that little house, and then it will bring up this 3D view for us. So it looks a bit, doesn't look very good. So let's just make it a bit neater. So here on the bottom left, at detail level, just go to fine. And this one here, your actual texture, you want to change to maybe shaded. Looks something like that. And then you'll see these yellow lines. They are actually analytical lines, which is when you design the structure. So just say VV on your keyboard, go here to analytical model categories, and we're going to just switch that off and say apply. And then you can see those lines are removed. All right, so we can also then go to annotation categories. I don't want to see my levels and my grids on this specific 3D. You can obviously keep it on if you'd like. It's just a bit cleaner for me. Untick the levels and then grids, and also untick that and apply. Okay. Okay, now we have this in our 3D model, but you'll notice that it doesn't look like much. The reason for that is it's one of two things. This is only on the structural discipline. So if you go to your properties tab, which is the important tab I spoke about earlier, you'll see here where it says discipline, it says structural. We want to change that for the moment to coordination, because we're obviously coordinating with the architectural link. So you'll notice it's brought in some of the walls and some of these walls here, but it's not brought in everything. Okay, so how we fix this is go VV on your keyboard. Then we will go to, stay in the specific model categories area. You'll notice that there are areas that are not ticked, or boxes that are not ticked. So that means it's hidden. That's why you can't see it. So firstly, what I'll do is I'll click on all. So I select all and expand all. So it expands each category. And then I'll select all again. And I'll just tick any empty box, and it will select all the empty boxes, and it will create a tick in it. And then say apply and OK. And see, now you can see this is what the architect's drawing actually looks like. So you can just change it maybe here to hidden line, something that's better on the eye for yourself. If this becomes too busy for you, this is the topography in the background with all these, you call these folded lines. These are like levels, and they are snapping to each other to form a slope. So if you want to remove that topography, just press VV on your keyboard, and you can type here TOP and get the topography and just say apply. So it looks a bit neater. You can obviously remove anything else that you'd like. It's quite easy, like I showed you. If you don't want to see the trees, VV on your keyboard, type in plant. So it'll be under planting. Obviously I know this because I've been working in Revit for quite a long time. So you'll pick this up as you go, and you'll understand in which specific categories, specific architectural, elements are modeled. Okay, so you'll also notice here looks like a light. So if you want to select something in the architectural model and see what it actually is if you hover over this and it gives you this box, just press tab on your keyboard, but obviously go to the specific element you want to select and press tab and click. So if you click on that, you'll see it's under lighting fixtures. So go VV on your keyboard, make sure it's on shown all so that electrical is also selected, and just type in here light, something like that, light, there you go, lighting fixtures, say apply and OK, and then it removes that. Okay, so now it looks more like an architectural model. Alright guys, now that we've done that, we can now actually go and look and see what type of levels we're working with here and what level is the lowest level. So I can see that I have a specific level here, and then you have a level there. So let's see what those level differences might be. So you can press EL on your keyboard to get an elevation. So this elevation here is for this specific floor. It's minus 550 from your 0 level. And then this level here is 0. So that means if we go to our north view, this level 0 is not the lowest, call it walking level inside of your building. So we want to put our foundation below the lowest level of the current building, and that would be, go to the 3D, lower than that. So let's just go to our level 2, and then we go to maybe the south view to see this portion and that portion. Good, south view. So you'll notice that there's our level 0, and here we actually can see, if I do a EL on my keyboard again for elevation, that's the minus 550 and that's the 0. So for this exercise, we are going to put our foundation level lower than that minus 550. But I'm also going to add in a floor level for that 550 level. Okay, so now you might be wondering how we're going to do this. It's quite easy. So we go to structure and then that level button there. And now we can just create a level. But before you start creating it, make sure that you tick this box to say create plan view. Okay. And you can click here plan view types. You can click if you want a ceiling plan or a floor plan or a structural plan, or you can select them all. But for this exercise, we're only going to use structural plan. Say okay. Now we can go and draw this in. If you want to draw it in accurately, you'll see that it doesn't want to snap there. So you can go here and say pick lines, and you can pick that specific line of this surface bed and click it, and you'll see minus 550. Now you'll see you just have to go and pull this out so it sits within that specific line. Okay, so just press escape on your keyboard, just click on that circular button and pull it out like that. You can also pull that to the left and also to that line there. Okay, and then you can click on that one, you can click on this, so it just displays it a bit neater. So then obviously you'll see that there's a level 2, a 1, a 2 and a 3. This automatically is created by Revit, so you can change this. Just you click on it and click on it again, then you can edit this. So you can then go and maybe change this to level, let's say maybe 0A, something like that, or just 0. So now it's going to ask you, would you like to rename corresponding views? Just say yes, because you want to rename that level 3 there to be the same as that. Say yes. There it goes to level 0. Then we want to add in another level, which is going to be our foundation level. So you can click on this specific grid line and you can copy it, or you can do what we did previously. But let's copy it for another example. So click on it, then what you can do is you go here to the top and click on the copy, or just say CO on your keyboard, and then I can bring it down like that. I just bring it down to a random dimension. Then I want to change this. I want to maybe call this foundation level and say enter, and you'll notice there's no structural plan view for it, but we can fix that. Click on view here at the top, plan views, structural plan, and there's your foundation level that's not associated to a plan. You just say okay, and there it's associated to a plan. Okay, so then let's go back to our south view. We can now go and change this level here to be 450. I'm going to just make it 450 mils below our level 0. So if I click on this, you'll see it's 1.5 meters below our nearest level, which is the level 0. Click on that, type 450, and there you have your level 450. Okay, just click on that again so you can create a little arm that just gives you a better view of your levels. So now we have set up all our levels. If you really want to, you can change this. That's actually how they do it in the BIM standard. You can change this foundation level maybe to says minus 0.1 A, say yes. Then that one minus 0.1 B, yes. The reason for that is, the way I'm doing this is to make sure it's in numerical order. So you'll see that if I make yes, so foundation is obviously lowest, then level 0 is the next level above that, then level 1, and then when you can go to this one, make that 102, yes, and then this one, click on it and bring it towards this side, and just make that 0.3, and yes, and there you have it like that. Don't know why the level 2, where's the level 2 now? Did not rename. I think I accidentally said no, so you can just rename it from this side. I'm glad that happened. Just click on it, right click, rename, 02 dash down, enter. And there you have it. We can go and delete these analytical levels. We don't need it for this exercise. Just right click and delete. Okay, now that we've set that up, we can then go into our foundation level. I just want to show you something here that you might find weird and don't understand why it's like that. So you'll see that you can see these grid lines, D, E, F, and G, but you can't see any other of the other grid lines. So I'm going to show you why that is. So if you go to the east view or elevation, go to east, you'll see here that the grid line G goes to somewhere below your level, what's it, 0.1. Okay, so what this basically means is if I click on that level there and you go and check what is this level, this is my 0.1A foundation level. So that is the lowest level. Okay, so what this means is the grid line goes and it cuts through that level. That is why you can see that grid line. If I go to D, it still cuts through there. If I go to C, it does not cut through the level, foundation level indicator here. And that is why you cannot see it on your foundation level layout. You see, you can't see any of them. So go back to your east view again. You click on grid line C, and all you do is you just pull it down like that, and it will pull B and A with it. So if you go to foundation level now, you will see A, B, and C. But now we need to fix it for the dimensions in the other direction. So let's go to our north view. You'll see the same thing here. It's above those levels. Just pull it down to somewhere there. And if you go to your foundation level, you will see all your specific grid lines. Okay, now that we've set up all of this, we can now start bringing in some steel columns and foundations for our structure. So let's go to a 3D view. I'm just going to close some of these tabs here at the top. Just like to keep it neat while I work. So you'll notice that the architect actually doesn't have much columns in this building. Just put on wireframe so you can see. There's a lot of glass going on here. There's no real columns. So we're going to create our own column positions. And we're just going to play around with this building and see how we can build our structure. Okay, so we're going to go to our level. Let's rather go to foundation level because that's where we want our columns to start. Okay, so now what we will do is before we start, make sure everything in this level in terms of architectural is turned on, like we did in the 3D. So go to discipline, put it to coordination, press VV on your keyboard, select all, expand all, select all again, and click that button and say apply. Now I just want to remove the site and also the topography. Site and topography, and apply, so you can see something like that. Then make sure this here at the bottom left is set to fine, and maybe wireframe, so you can see everything that's going on here. Alright, so what we want to do is now is go and place some columns. So I'm gonna go to structure, column, and then what I'll do is I will select a steel column. So there's not a square hollow section column that I want to use, so I'll go here to edit type, I'll go load, and then I'll go and find my specific column. So under South Africa, because I'm a South African, I go to structural columns, steel, SA specific, and I want to do a square hollow section. So there it is, want that one, and I'm just going to use a 120 for this exercise, 120 by 120 by 4.5. Okay, and then also okay. Now you can see, before we actually try and place them, just go here at the top, make sure that is set to height and not unconnected, but we wanted to go to the level 2, which is the slab level. Alright, then before we place any of them, go here to add grids, and then what we'll do is we'll just highlight all of the grids like that, and what it will do is it'll place a column at the intersection of each grid. You can see it there. That is what we want to create. Then we will say finish, and there we have placed all our columns on grid lines. So let's go to the 3D. I'm gonna just say VV on my keyboard, Revit links, and put the architect's drawing to halftone, apply, and okay. And there you can actually see the columns more or less in the background here. There you can see our columns sitting, it's obviously sitting within the glass in some areas, but that's okay. You can see some of the columns sticking out because these level differences, but this is a quick way to place your columns. After this we can now go and focus on levels and all of that, but for the moment let's just focus on the columns. So we can go back to our foundation level where we've placed these columns. We can then go and put a foundation onto these columns. I'm just going to press VV on my keyboard again to halftone the architect's drawing, so we can just distinguish between our drawings and his or hers. So now we can see it a bit clearer. So what I'll do now is I go here to under structures tab to isolate it, foundation, and you'll see the preset, you only have 2 of them. I'm going to create my own, duplicate, edit type, then always duplicate this because you don't want to overwrite anything that you have created. So duplicate, and I'm going to make it a 1 meter by 1 by 300 millimeters. Okay, just change that depth and then your width and your length, and say apply and okay. Now before I place them, I can say add columns because I want this specific foundation at each column. I'll just highlight from right to left. You can see it's showing me that it's going to place a footing or foundation at each column, and I say finish. Let's go to our 3D. There you can see we have our foundation placed at our column. So the reason why we do the columns first and then the foundations is because the foundation is actually attached to the column. So if I had to or if I wanted to change the level of this foundation, I need to change the level of the column because the foundation respects the column level. So let's say I wanted this column to drop by another meter. I go here to the right and I say minus 100 for base, minus 1000 for the base offset. And once I say enter, it's going to say an attached structural foundation will be moved to the bottom of the column. And that is what we want. And we say okay. And there you can see it's moved the foundation for you with this column. So if I just undo that, if you look at this and I click on the base and I do the same, minus a meter, it'll move just the base. And obviously we don't want that. So just Control Z on your keyboard. So that is just a insight for you. So you understand why we did it like that. Now we can focus on some brick walls and retaining walls. So you can see there's some retaining walls here that the architect has drawn in. We don't have to go and reinvent the wheel. What we will do is we will just copy them in again. So go collaborate, copy and monitor, select link. I'll click on the link. Then I go to options, walls, and then you'll see there's quite a lot of walls here. And the new type that it will bring in is a generic 200 mil wall. So I'm just for this exercise gonna leave it like that. You can go and really look into the depth here. If you want this specific wall to be brought in as another wall, just click down the drop down, select any wall you'd like, or you can say copy the original wall, or don't copy this type, but that's up to you. But for this exercise, I'm just going to bring in the 200 millimeter wall. If you accidentally did not select the correct one, you can always just change the wall from the generic 200 to anything else once it's within your project. So just say okay on your tab there at the bottom. Then I'll go here and say copy. What you can do is say multiple again, and you can highlight everything, but let's just try and focus on the walls. So I'm going to highlight something like that, and then those, just remember to press Control on your keyboard only when you want to highlight them, and then highlight those walls. And I think I've selected all of the walls here. The other walls here are actually some partition or partition walls, which are like seems like timber. I don't want to bring that into my drawing. Okay, now that I've highlighted what I want, go here to the filter button again, and then untick electrical equipment, floors, and structural foundations. We just want the walls. Say apply. Okay. So there you can see it's unselected that floor and all the other floors. Now we have all the walls, and we just say here finish. And what you'll notice is that this wall is brought in exactly as per the architect's drawing, meaning it's cut exactly to the same level. So this is the best way to bring in walls if you want to respect the architectural levels. Now, just before we press escape on the keyboard, just say stop monitoring, because we're not going to concentrate on that feature. So there we have our walls brought into the drawing. Then you can just say finish here, and now we have finished that. Now just to note, guys, we've actually not put some of the elements on the correct work sets, but that's not a train smash. So we actually started great on the grids, and then from the level side I forgot to actually change it, but it's good that stuff like this happens. So I can show you a quick way to quickly put it on the correct work set. So let's go to the foundation level, click on any of these grids, and here it's actually brought in as the grids, which is fine. I was actually referring to the levels, apologies for that. So let's just click here and see that's on grids, you can see there. So I'll click on any of the levels, right click, then we will say select all instances in the entire project. it will select all of them. You'll notice here that the work set is on varies, which means not all of them were on the same work set. So drop down menu. If you can't find levels, just type levels or LE, and then you'll put it on that specific work set. Then we go to the 3D, our columns, select, right click, select all in entire project. This I will change to structural steel. If you want to, you can change it to any work set that you've set up. Foundations, right click, select all instances, entire project. I want to change that to foundations, and then all the walls I'll do the same, and I'll change that to retaining walls. Alright, so there we've quickly set all our specific elements to our work sets. So good that we picked up that before we actually went and did more work. Okay, so what we can do now is just go and have a look at the house on level 0 and see, or rather let's go to level 1 so we can see what we have here. So let's once again just switch on the architectural features, the discipline, coordination, and then just put that to fine. But before I actually go through all those steps, let me just quickly show you can actually do a template. A template is a very powerful thing within Revit. So if I go to the foundation level, I've already done all of the changing of discipline and also setting it to the correct detail type and all of that. So what you can do is you go to view, because I've already done everything in this layout, view templates. Then I'll say here, create template from current view. And what I'll call this is str just layout. You can call it anything you'd like. And I say okay. And now what it's going to ask me is what do I want to include in this specific view template? So now you can go and say, maybe you don't want to include, let's say the shadows. You can untick that box. So if you don't want certain elements in this to be displayed in the other specific layout, you can just untick it. But I'm going to leave all of them on and say okay. Now we can go to level 1 and we can just apply this template and it will do everything for us without, call it, reinventing the wheel. So go here to the bottom right where it says view template, click on none, click on str, the one we've just created, the layout, say apply and okay. So there you'll notice that the background has been grayed and you can see all the architectural elements. So that's quite easy, guys. So templates is a very powerful thing. I can maybe make a video of templates in more depth, then you can see how powerful it really is. Just note that you obviously create a template for specific layouts, and then you will create templates for specific elevations and sections. So there's a difference, and also same applies to a 3D model, or a 3D view rather. So if you go into the view template here, you'll notice that your view type filter, you have ones for floor, structural, and area plans. If I drop down, you're going to have one for 3D views, one for the elevations, sections, and details, and then some renderings and drafting views. So there's different types of view filters set up for, like I said, layouts and elevations. Okay, that's just some extra info for you. Okay, now we can see all of this, but we don't want to actually see the structural foundations in our level 1. So just say VV on your keyboard and you'll notice that it's all grayed out. Now you're going to say, okay, I don't really understand what's going on. So what you can do is, or how you need to do this is go to the view template, and you actually need to go and change it in the view template. But I don't necessarily want to change this template, so I'm just going to click on none again. So it's not associated to any template anymore, but it will still keep all the str layout properties that we have set already. So if I say apply and OK, you'll notice nothing changed. So if I say VV on my keyboard now, I can now change this again. So just note, anything you change in this view template, yeah, if I change something within this view template, it's going to change all the other layouts that has been set to that specific template. So just keep note of that. Okay, so now we're going to just change within this level 1. We're going to change the settings here. We're going to just put off our structural foundation so we don't see it, something like that. All right, so now we have created all our walls on the, call it, perimeter of the building, retaining walls. We can also create some brick walls for the internal layout. So remember earlier I said that you need to speak to your architect and ask him how do they usually do this. So how I usually go about this is I would go and model my walls from my foundation level to just below the windows. So that means in this case it's going to go up to our surface bed level. Okay, so we will go into our level 0. And just before I do that, the reason for that is, guys, is if you have a big project and you want it, for instance, let's say we bring in this wall. Now I bring in this wall and these architects have a certain window size. Now the architects go and change this window size, but I don't necessarily concentrate on a window size if it's not going to influence my structure in any way. Now you don't see this update and you don't change your wall for this update, the information is not gonna be matching. So it will become so overwhelming if you have more than, let's say, 1,000 windows in a project or even doors, and you need to try and keep up with the architect's door and window changes. So that's why model it from your foundation to your surface bed, and then you don't have to worry about any walls or windows. But obviously if the walls are load bearing, that's a different story. Then you're going to have to unfortunately work with the architect in quite tight collaboration to make sure when changes occur. But yeah, that's just a note for you guys. So let's go to level 1, and we're going to draw in the walls for the perimeter of the house. So we're going to go to structure, wall, and then drop down menu. You'll see a lot of walls here. I'm going to create my own wall. I'll say edit type, duplicate once again. I'm going to make it a 220 millimeter brick wall. Press OK. Edit. I'm going to change that to 220. Then what you want to do is your material type. It says by category. I don't know what by category means, but I assume it's concrete because that was a concrete wall previously. So we're going to type in here brick, and we're going to use that brick common and say okay. There it is. You can preview it. Let's just click there. This is how it's going to look in your floor plan. So okay and okay. And now we want to go and draw in our walls on the center of our columns. So how we do this is, before we start drawing anything, we will go and set the depth to height and unconnected to level 1. Okay, now you'll notice that it says okay, something is wrong. So keep in mind we are on level 1. So I did this on purpose to show you we are on level 1. So you must always concentrate on which level you are once you draw walls or columns. So I'm just going to press cancel. So what we want to do is, we don't want the height, we want the depth. Okay, because we want to start our wall on the level 1 that we are on and take it down to our foundation level. Okay, so it might seem in the beginning, it might seem a bit confusing and you might not really understand everything, but as you go, you'll understand. That's the only way you can learn Revit. You need to practice it every day. And to take a project like this and work with me, it would be the best. If you want to watch the video first and then come back and try it, and I always say the best is try and redraw your own house as a starter. Okay guys, so now we can start by drawing our walls. So I'm gonna get that center point and bring it to that center point, and you'll notice it automatically, call it chain, so it automatically continues. There's the chain, it's selected. If I untick this and I go, let's say I go to my next column and I click the center line there, and now you'll notice that it doesn't chain anymore. It's because that's unticked. Okay, so if you go, instead of doing what I did now, drawing in the actual wall, you can also do pick lines. So the way this works is you just hover over maybe the grid line and you pick that line, but then you'll notice it actually goes and respects the whole length of the grid line. So sometimes I do that, or sometimes I just go the, let's call it the longer route by actually drawing it in by hand. But for this exercise, let's pick the grid lines like I'm doing it now. Let's pick that grid line and also pick that one. Okay, you'll notice that they obviously shoot right through the building. Then there's also a little portion here, so I don't need to use the pick lines. Let's just use our normal drawing of our wall like that. Okay, now I always feel it's best to go to the 3D view to see what we have done. So I don't want to see the architect's drawing now, so press VB on your keyboard, Revit links, untick that. So okay, now this is actually what we have done already in our drawing in terms of our structure. So you can see it looks quite cool. And now we can see if there's any errors or anything that doesn't look real good. Okay, so the gray walls are the generic 200mm walls that we've brought in from the architect. And then these 220 walls is the brick walls that we have done ourselves just now. So you'll see some of the walls overlap. We can go and change that. So if you go to modify, there's a trim and extend here. So I like using this tool. Click on that. I want to trim these two walls like that. So you click on that one and click on the side you want to trim, and do the same for that one. And we do the same this side, and also this side here like that. And then we want that wall to go through to that column there. So instead of clicking on that wall and dragging it, sometimes you can drag it skew like that, for instance, and then it's not good. So how you do that, you go to modify again, you click on this here, trim and extend, click on that. I select the face that I want the specific object to extend to, click that face, then select the object you want to extend. So if I hover over this wall, that specific line shows you where this wall is going to go to, and I click and it extends it to that wall. So now that we've done the internal walls, I want to just focus on the outside here and making this a bit neater. We see that this intersects each other. We're going to do the same principle. I'm going to click on this one, however, trim and extend multiple elements. Click on that. I select this wall face because I want these two walls, that one and that one, to actually snap back to this wall. So I'll click on that wall, and I can also click on that wall. And that is the benefit of clicking on the multiple trim and extend. Okay, so there we go. Now what I want to do is maybe just line up that wall with that one. How you do that is press AL on your keyboard for align. You can also find it here in your modify tab. There you go. Then you can go and click on the face that you want it to be aligned to. Click on that wall face and click on that wall face. Then you'll see that it's locked. So automatically this lock is picked here. The tick box is ticked. So what this means is if I just press escape on my keyboard, if I had to move this specific wall, that wall will move with it. So if I move that wall, it's going to move with it. You can always click on this wall and just untick that that lock if you don't want it to be like that. So just swing it around, say AL on your keyboard again. If you don't want to lock it from the start, untick the box, click your wall face, click that wall face, and there you go. Then we want to just set all these walls on this side onto the same foundation level as this one here. So I'm going to highlight them all like that. Then I'm going to check here on the right, all of them are set to foundation level, but minus 500. So I'm going to say I want it at 0 and enter. And now it's moved up to our level that we require or we want. Note, this one did not move to that level. Reason for that is this wall has been edited by using the edit profile tool to create that slope. So how we get this wall to go up to that level is you need to go here and say edit profile. Then we actually need to go and take that line and take it to the soffit of that wall. Easiest way to do this, AL on your keyboard, hover here, you'll see it's going to select that face edge, but don't click yet. Press tab on your keyboard, it's going to select the bottom of your wall, click that and click that line. And there it brings it up to that soffit level. It doesn't look like it though in this 3D view, but you'll see once we say finish, you'll see that you can see there it's flush with that level. Alright, so now that we've done that, we can just go and check again. These walls are not on our work set. We did not set our work set. So sometimes we can forget to do that. That's okay. We can always just make sure that we set them to the correct work set. So brick walls, there we go. Okay, so I feel we've done our brick walls now, but we have a step in the building in this portion here. So let's go and maybe bring in the architectural floor, and then we can see how the step works and modify our walls accordingly. So let's go and put on the architectural drawing again. I say VV on my keyboard, Revit links, architectural model, and we say okay. Now we want to bring in our floors. Excuse me. So we're going to go once again, collaborate. It's just the easiest. It'll bring in the floor on the exact same level and the exact same perimeter. Select link, make sure it hovers and gives you that blue line. We're going to say copy. We're not going to mind what floor thickness it copies in. We're going to just change it to what we want. I'm going to select them individually. So I'm going to click on that one. You can see it's brought it in. Then hover here, press tab with your keyboard. See, it does not want to select that. So you might have to just hover around here like that. There you go. So if you hover over it, you can see it says the timber suspended floor. So you know you have the correct floor. Click on that floor. You can go again here. This one might be a bit difficult because it's inside of the building. So if I can't select it, we might have to go to, oh, there we go. Just hover again, press tab on your keyboard until you get the internal floor like that, and click your mouse button. And there you go. If you can't find it like I did, because I've done this quite a few times before, you need to go to a layout plan or even a elevation or a section to actually go and find that specific floor. Okay, So press escape on your keyboard. I know I've brought in 3 floors now. I'm going to say finish on my tab there. I want to save the project now. Then I can go to my level, let's go to level 1. And I can go and see what I've brought in. So you can see I've brought in this generic floor. Let's maybe put this to shaded. And then we can maybe switch off the architectural drawing, PV, Revit links, architect. There you can see what we've brought in now. So there we have that floor, and just press tab to get that specific floor. Okay, it doesn't want to work with us now. Let's go to the 3D. Let's switch off the architect's drawing also in here. Okay, there we go. Now we can see we have that floor minus 550, that one on a level 0, and that one also minus 550. So now we want to go and make sure our walls on this level is actually going to that surface bed level and not the top level. So these 2 walls are easy. We just click on them like that. We go and say the top constraint here must be to level 0, which is that floor there. Then this one can't do the same exactly because it's one continuous wall. So what we can do is split this wall. So press SL on your keyboard. Just go and hover over this wall. You'll see it selects like the perimeter line of this wall, and just click anywhere. It doesn't matter where. Click there. You'll notice if I click there now, these walls have been split. So now it's easy. Just rotate around here. We'll go modify, click trim and extend. I want to take both these walls. I want to take it to that edge like that. Click away from the wall, click the wall edge again, and click there again, and there you go. Then I can go and change this wall to level 0 top constraint. And there you can see we have our step in our building now. Okay, so there we have our walls and floors, but we still need to add in our foundation walls and also our foundations for our walls and retaining walls. So go to the structure, we go to wall, which is the wall foundation because it's associated to the wall. Then drop down menu, you have a bearing footing and you have a retaining footing. So I'm going to use the standard bearing footing for the 220 walls. So either you can go and click them individually or select multiple, but let's see if we say select multiple. So I'm going to just rotate like that, select them. You can see it only selects the walls like that. It doesn't do anything yet until you say finish. I'm going to press Control on my keyboard, highlight those 2, that one and those ones there, and say finish. And there you can see we have drawn in our foundations for those walls. Then what we can do is do the retaining wall foundations. We go same procedure, walls, go to retaining footing, and then what we do is say select multiple, select them like that. Those ones, just see everything is selected, yep, and say finish. And there we have all our retaining wall foundations. You'll notice that some of these walls, like this one here, doesn't seem to be on the correct level. It's also because it's a profile or wall that's been edited as a profile. So do the same as earlier, align it. So this is what you need to concentrate on within the architectural drawings. You won't know which walls have been edited like this until you actually start bringing them in and editing it into your drawing. Okay, so we've done that. You'll notice there's some weird combination here. So just to show you, if it's something like this and you've aligned it now and you say finish, it's going to say it can't work. The reason for that is it must be a closed loop. So what I'll do is I'll delete those 2 lines and I'll just say trim. I'll trim them. Now they're continuous, and I'll say finish. And now you can see it's brought up to our level, and it's corrected now. So if we go to foundation level, we can see all our foundations now. Just note here, if I click on this specific retaining wall footing, it gives you these arrows. So all that means is which side do you want the bigger toe to be. So currently the toe is to the top side, the bigger toe. If I click it here, the bigger toe goes to the other side. So it's just something to note, which is quite a nice tool to have instead of actually going and trying to mirror this specific retaining wall footing. So if we go to our 3D again, let's just double check. I don't think our foundations, yeah, these new foundations aren't set to foundations. So click on them, right click, select entire project. You'll notice it only selects the same size footings. Okay, so easier way, highlight all of them. Okay, just say stop monitoring here. Filter, check none, structural foundations, apply, and okay. Selects all the foundations. Change the work set to, let's type in foundations, and they're all do foundations now. Just want to remove that. Say VV on your keyboard, that just bothers me. It's just the site, your project base points. Just say okay. Alright, so VV on your keyboard again. You'll see you're going to have to do this quite a lot. Switch on, switch off the architect's drawing. This is, I feel it's the best way for me to work with. Takes a lot of collaboration in the beginning, but as soon as you understand your project, it's going to become quite easier. Okay, so now we have all of those elements in our drawings. We can now start concentrating on our level 2 here, which is our slabs. So I'm just going to delete those 3 columns because we don't actually need them. It's just a little stoop here. So let's bring in the slab levels here, and then we will actually draw in some steel beams to support these slabs, and we will maybe change the slab to something like a timber deck because it seems like it's a timber deck type style, what you call it, finished flooring here. So we can go do the following. We go collaborate, copy and monitor, select link, select that link. We're going to copy this. Once again, you need to just hover to find that and press tab as you go. There you go. There you can see floor. Click that floor. See, that is a concrete floor. This one as well. Click that floor. And then we want to try and copy this floor. So you'll notice we can't copy this floor, and I'm going to show you the reason why. So just press escape on our keyboard, say finish. So if we hover over this and we try and select this floor in the background, there we go. You'll see here it says basic roof timber. So this roof, it is a roof, but it's actually a roof slab. So the architect has drawn this in as a roof, not as a slab or floor rather. That's why you can't collaborate and copy and monitor this. So if I go to architect and you go to this roof, the architect has drawn this in as this type of roof, not as the floor. Okay, so how we can work around this is we can either click on this like I just did now. You hover over it, press tab until you get that, then you say copy, paste, align to same place, and it brings that into your drawing. So if I say VV on my keyboard, remove the architect link, you can see there we have our basic roof. But this is not the correct way because I don't want to draw this in as a roof. I was just showing you how to do this, so I'm just going to delete that. We can draw in our own roof here, or our own roof slab rather. So let's just change that to shaded so you can see what's going on. So before I start drawing any further, let's quickly draw in this slab here. Just gonna put the architect's drawing on again so we can see what the level difference is. So EL on your keyboard, that is 2538, and this level here is 3 meters. Okay, you're gonna see now why I do this. So let's go and draw in that specific floor. So we go to level 2. Even though I know it's not the correct level, I'm going to still use this. So go structure, not slab, sorry. You go floor, structural floor. For this exercise, let's just use generic 300 mil. Level 2. Height offset from level, just keep it at 0 for now. Then we're going to say rectangle here at the top. I'm going to go and draw it on each center line like that and take it to this here. So you can do it like that, and then you can go and align them on each corner, or just undo it. Measure this, that is 60 mils. So easier way, rectangle, offset at 60 millimeters. Use the center line as your base point, and it will automatically go to the perimeter of your column. And then we just say finish, and all that means is we go to 3D, it overlaps with the slab on that level, which makes sense because our slab on this side has not been dropped to the correct level yet. So now I know this level is 2538, so I'm gonna click on the slab here and I want to change it to that. Easiest way to do that, apologies, is go VV on your keyboard, switch off the architect drawing, put an elevation on this, EL, like that, 3 meters, click on it, that was 2538, enter, and it brings it down to that level. So there you go for that. Then we want to attach our columns to this floor, but before we do this, let's go and first do our beams in this working space. So go to level 2. We want to just connect all our columns. Just change of level here to fine so it looks better. So let's go to structure, beam. Then let's go and use that 305 beam. Our reference level will be level 2. It's also set there to level 2. That's 100%. So let's start by drawing in these floors. Oh, sorry, these beams. There's one of them. Easiest way to go and copy it over, but before we do that, let's just go and draw ourselves a section through this building. So go here to section, draw in our section like that, and just pull back this so it only shows us up to that view. Right click and say go to view, just bring that up, and then we can just say VV on our keyboard, Revit links, and just switch off the architect's drawing so we can see what's going on here. Put it to fine and also wireframe so we can see our beam in the background. There we go. So for this exercise, we can go and change this 300 mil thick concrete to something else. Let's maybe change it to duplicate it before you change it. Let's maybe change it to a 255 millimeter slab, and the architect will have his timber vinyl or whatever finish he would like on top of this. You can obviously go and change it to any concrete type you'd like. If you have a preset concrete material within your standards, you can also change it to that. Just stop monitoring. Okay, so now I know this slab is 255 thick. The reason why I wanted to change this first is so that I can put this beam on the correct level before I copy them all over. So I'll do that. I'll take that beam, the start level minus 255, end level minus 255. And there we have our slabs sitting on top of our beams. So go to level 2, there's our beam, and I will copy it over to each of these grid lines like this. And now I can draw beams in the other direction. I'll click on that beam, press CS on your keyboard for create similar. Then I will choose level 2 again. You can already set your minus 255 here because you know that is the level it needs to be at. Pull it through to that one, and then I will copy it over like this. And let's go to our 3D view. I see it did not actually, oh, apologies, we actually changed the start and end extension. We can just change this now. Let's just go to level 2 again and undo it. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. Apologies for that. Click on it again, Control C. Oh, not Control C, CS on your keyboard. Reference level, level 2. So it's actually this offset minus 255. I'm going to show you there's actually a difference between the offset and the start and end. I'll show you now. Let's copy it over. 3D. Okay, it sits at the correct level. So I just want to show you, if I click on this beam, the start level and end level offset is 0, but the Z offset value is 255. If I click on the other beam, start level offset is minus 255 and the Z value is 0. So you can decide how you want to do this. So what this means is your 0 point is still at the top and it's only minus 255 from that top, where this here actually takes your 0 point still to be at the top of your steel beam. So just take note of that. And now we can take these columns and we can actually attach them to the bottom of these steel elements. So let's go and test it. Let's just highlight those three. So here, attach, make sure it says top, and I'll click on that beam. Say cancel. I think the reason for this is because it's already joined within the concrete. So let's, sorry for that. Let's just change the top offset here to, let's say, minus 600. Just want to check it, unjoin. Now say attach. See, there you go. It's a bit of a glitch that Revit has. So we can do it for all of them, all of the columns. So just highlight them like I'm doing now. Filter, just untick walls, okay. And we will say, where is it now? Top offset, just unselect that one. Press shift on your keyboard, highlight that one. Now you can actually change the top offset, minus 600. And join all of them. And then we say attach and attach to the beam and okay. Okay, obviously it's going to only attach these ones on that beam, so I need to go and do it for those ones. Attach to that beam and then highlight, attach to that beam. Right, and there you go. So it's a bit of a workaround sometimes, just take note of that when you attach your steel elements. Then let's go and do the same for this slab. I'm gonna change this slab to a 255 as well, and also that one. Just stop monitoring, 255 like that. Okay, let's go and add it in. Level 2. Obviously we need to take note of these beam levels. Maybe let me show you how to do it in a 3D view. It might be worth your while to see how to do this. So structure, beam, select the beam you like. I'm going to use the beam that we used earlier. Then I'm going to say 3D snapping. I'm going to make sure all my Z values are set to 0. And your justification, that just means where it's going to be the top of the beam, the center, or the bottom of the beam. So I'm going to use top. I'm going to say here pick lines. I'm going to use this bottom line of the slab as my set line for the top of my beam. I'll click that and see how it adds that beam to the top there, to the bottom of that slab. Do the same with that side and also that side. So that is quite easy, but now once we've done that, we need to go and align this beam with the center of the column. So it's just another way of actually putting in the beam. So we can see here that the beam is minus 717 from level 2. So now that we have that level, we can respect that level. So there's our column, our beam. We want it to be on the center line. So say AL on your keyboard, click the grid line or the center of the column. Make sure you hover over the beam so you can see it says slab. Press tab on your keyboard till you get to the beam. Okay, if it does not want to work, make sure this is set to wireframe. Try it again, AL. That's our grid. That's the floor. Okay, I see it does not want to select the center of this beam. No worries, we can just move it. MV on your keyboard and just move it over like that. Sometimes Revit has these, I call it glitches, because in previous occasions I could align them and some occasions I can't. I don't know why it does that. So just move it over. Just always try and to find the quickest way to do these things, and that was my quickest way, aligning them. But if Revit doesn't want to allow me, I'll just move it. Okay, let's draw in the beams in the other direction. CS on your keyboard. Reference level would be level 2. And then the Z can be minus 717. And middle point and put it there. Now I'll just copy this over. Oh, apologies, wrong button. That one already has one. So I noticed this span here at the end is quite far. So one might increase this depth of this beam, or we can just copy over all these columns and that beam. Let's maybe do that as an example. So I'm going to do that. So I have those 3 columns, the 3 bases, and I've obviously selected the beam and the wall and foundation. I don't want the wall and foundation. Press shift on your keyboard, highlight it like that, and it's deselected the wall and the base. Now this is still highlighted. I can go to level 2. It's still in the highlight format, and I can just go and copy this. CO, my keyboard, copy it. Now I want to find the center point between E and F. From here, press S2 on your keyboard, or not S2, sorry. Let's just try that again. 3D. Like that. Okay, where is it now? We go to level 2. Let's copy it over. Let's just place it somewhere there. Doesn't seem like the shortcut wants to work for the moment. So what we can do now is just DI on your keyboard for dimension. Dimension it. And then here you just say equal, just say unjoin. Now it's just taken the beam to that center. That's okay. We can move columns and the bases to that location as well. This is the benefit of locking your elements. If you align them so that everything moves with, but it can be a benefit and sometimes it cannot be a benefit. So in this case, it would have been a benefit. So let's go to our 3D. We can just go and highlight those elements, just deselect that beam and the level. Go to level 2 and we just move them. MV on my keyboard, move to the center there. And 3D. There you go. Now we want to go and take these columns to our beam levels. So let's go and highlight them. We need to do the same procedure. Filter, just untick the color of the structural framing. Then what we will do is top offset, let's say 1.5, so we know we're far below, like that. Then I highlight them, attach that one, attach like that, and also attach. And there you go. So you'll notice you see these blue lines. It actually shows you where the top of the beam is. So if it bothers you, rather change that to 0 and change those two to -255. Just so, okay. You can see now it just brings that line down. So let's just do that for the sake of it. Stuff like that bothers me. Okay. This one should be minus, oops, too quick, like that. So I just want to go to VV in my my visibility graphics, go to floors, just make it transparent 20%. That's just so we can see all our beams in the background. There we go. Obviously I need a central beam there. Let's just add that, level 2, take that beam, copy it over to that one there, 3D. There you go. So maybe we can pull that beam through for this specific balcony. So we go extend, click on this edge, extend that beam. Oh, sorry, I misclicked that, do it again. It's just a glitch, like that. Then I can also copy that beam, go to level 2, copy this beam over to the edge, like there. So you can choose if you wanted to maybe sit central to the edge of the slab, like that. 3D. There we go. You'll see that Revit automatically makes these setbacks when it comes to steel, but here you can actually do some connections. But let's just focus on working with the architect model for now. So now we've done most of the work. We still need to bring in this bridge. Let's go and bring in this bridge. So like I said earlier, you can actually hover, click on that slab. Once you press tab on your keyboard, copy, paste, align to same place, and OK. PV on your keyboard, remove that, and there you go. You have that slab. But I want to change that to the same slab 255, like that. Right, so now we can maybe go and place in this beam as well. So go to structure, beam, 3D snapping, pick lines, I'll pick that line, just Control Z. Just note it keeps the latest or the last set offset value that you put in. Just undo it, click there, and click there, and we've put those beams in. We can support that slab onto that wall there. That's okay. We can maybe just pull in this beam to the center of that wall. So go to level 2. We're going to say AL on our keyboard. Let's see if it works now. Click that center of the wall. That's the slab again. Doesn't want to select our beam. It's okay. Just move it over. MV on your keyboard. That's the center. And MV on your keyboard. That's also the center. And then you can just extend it like that. Just note that when you extend it like that, it's good that this happened. Go to 3D. See how it snaps to the top of the wall. So Control Z, just undo. Go to level 2. If you want to do it in a better way, go to structure, say reference plane. Draw in a reference plane here. And I want this reference plane to be 500 mils from the edge of that wall. Then what you can do is modify, trim and extend, click that reference plane, click that beam, and click that beam. So obviously you can't see it now, but if I click on this wall, the beam sits within that wall. And now we can maybe add in a beam system in the other direction. So let's quickly go and do that. Level 2. So you can do it like we did earlier, or you can do an actual beam system. Go to structure, here, beam system. Then I want to sketch one. So what we want to do now is you want to draw a boundary of where these beams must go. So I'm going to pick my lines because I want it to sit at the center of my H beams, my I beams. And I want those beams to end on the edge of the slab there and also here. Note, we also need to close this beam system. So it must be a continuous closed loop. So here I also want, I can maybe leave it there so that they build it in there. So let's close it. We will do the trim like that. Trim it. All right, now you'll notice if I click here, beam direction, currently it says the beam must be in the long direction. We want it in the short direction. So just select the short direction. Then here on the right, we can now choose what we actually want to use as the beams. So I don't want to use the 305. Let's use the smaller one, 127. And then you can say, do you want it at a fixed distance? Let's use that. You can see there's quite another few options. And I want it at 1.5 meters. And then you can choose, do you want it from the center or the beginning? You can have a look at what this does now once we press finish. Before we press finish, you can see it says here tag new member in view. What this means is if I would say finish, it's going to tag each member. It's going to give the description of the beam, but I don't want that for this example. I'm just going to say none. You can tick that if you want. And then the work set would be structural steel. And then I just say finish. Now see it's created this beam system, but unfortunately it does not give us the beams on the edges due to the spacing. So let's just quickly play around with this. If I say 1.4, there we have it maybe a bit better, 1450. So what this basically means is from the center point, it measures out the 1.45 to the top and 1.45 to the bottom. So let's just see 1490. That's a bit better. There you go. So if it's exactly 1.5, it doesn't give you the last two beams. So go to our 3D. I don't think it's on the correct level. Okay, so click on the beam system. That's the beam system. Elevation from level. I'm not sure what it should be. Let's just check what this beam is. Oh, minus 255. So minus 255. And there you can see our beams. I see it also gives you that line. I'm sure we can switch off this line somehow. VV on my keyboard. Maybe under annotate. Let's see if I put in structure. Let's just switch all of them off. Let's see. Doesn't switch it off. Oh, it's okay. It's just bothering me, but anyway, let's leave it for the moment. Let's just check. I just want to check one more thing. Okay, it's not the analytical. Okay, so now we've done that. We have that in. We maybe need to just extend this slab a bit and also maybe that beam into this beam. So press or rather go to modify, say with that there, trim and extend. I want to extend it to the face like there. Let's go and do it in the plan view. Sometimes in the 3D it doesn't want to work. Go trim and extend. I want to extend it to that face. I want to extend that beam and that beam. It doesn't want to work with me today. Let's just work around it again. Just click there, move it like that. There we go. Instead of taking the actual bubble, take the arrows. That won't make it snap to anything. Let's go to our 3D. And there we have it. And click on the slab, edit, AL on your keyboard, align it to that edge and say finish. And just say don't attach. And there we have our balcony, or our bridge rather. Now I think there's a staircase here, so let's bring in the staircase. You'll notice in the collaboration, as I showed earlier in the video, you can't bring in a staircase into the drawing due to it not being a structural element. But what I mean by that is it falls under the architectural tab, stairs. There's no stairs on the structural, even though you can reinforce it, but it's just the way that Revit works. So let's just go to wireframe so I can actually see the staircase. So just hover here until you get that staircase and press tab on your keyboard until you get the staircase. You'll see it's selected. It says here assembled stair. So what I'll do is I'll go here, copy, paste, and then align to same place and just say okay. There the staircase is. I'm going to say VV on my keyboard. Just going to switch off the architect and shade it. And there you have your staircase. I'm not worrying about the rating, so I'm just going to delete that. So yeah, our staircase sits. Now we can actually go and move these beams around, because obviously when you walk up here, you'll bump your head. So let's go to level 2. I'm going to take this beam, I'll copy it over to the edge of my staircase, like that. And that beam, I will stop short of this beam. Trim and extend to that face. Let's do it again. It really does not want to work with me when I want to trim and extend. Let's just try and save the project quickly. Save it. I'm going to call it structural model. Okay, let's try it now. Still, that's okay. Just pull it back like that. See, we pulled it back there, so you can walk up the stairs without any problem. Beam continues through there. Okay, so that is all good and well. You can obviously make this staircase a bit neater around this area, but for the moment I think it's okay in terms of what we want to achieve. Okay, so let's go and do the roof now. So we only have this pitch roof here, this specific roof. So what I will do is I want columns exactly on the position that the columns are here at the ground level. So what I'll do is I go to structure, column, and then I want to load a column because I want a specific size. Let's just see here, we're on the structural columns. I want a universal column, open, gonna use that one, overwrite, yes, and okay. And then I've brought this in, I'm just gonna press escape. So easiest way to do this for me is I'm gonna highlight all the perimeter columns. Oops, just untick that one. Or rather, no, let's rather only do those two, because I'm gonna create a frame and then copy the frame. That's the easiest. So let's highlight those two, copy, paste, and then you can say align to selected level. So we say roof line, say okay. What it does is, because it's linked or actually attached to that specific beam, it doesn't act the way it should. So let's just Control Z and do it again. I'm glad these things happen so you understand why it doesn't work. So I'm going to show you the difference now. Let's do it again. Copy, paste, just align it to the same place. And then you'll notice there's two columns in that one position. So I'm going to select one on each side. I'm just going to say detach and detach all, so that once you click on them again, you can actually change the top offset. It's not grayed out anymore. If I click on that one, it's grayed out. You can't change it because it's attached to that beam. So now if I try this again, I just want to show you, if I try this again, copy, paste, and say align to picked level. Oh, not picked level rather. Oh, apologies. Copy, paste, align to selected level, roof line. Okay, see, there actually works. Just to show you. But the method I want to show you is a bit different. So just delete that. Click on those two. Remember, it's still there's still double columns in this position. So what I'll do is I'll change my top level to roof line, bottom level, level 2, and just make that 0. So you'll notice that those columns are still in position because I duplicated them at the exact same place. And then I just changed the other two that I duplicated. I changed those levels after I detached them from this specific beam. Okay, so now we have those two columns. I'm going to change them to 203 like that. Just a note, if this column wasn't in the rotation that you wanted, just press space on your keyboard. You can rotate it 90 degrees. So you'll notice that we might have to bring out the slab a bit so that the column sits on the slab. So just say edit boundary, AL my keyboard, align it on that side and align it on this side. Say okay, and same with that one. line them and finish. And there you go. So now we want to put in the rafter frame. So I'll go to level 2 and I'll draw myself a section. This is always the easiest way. Draw yourself a section. Bring that back just to there because we only want to see that. Go to view. Just bring that up. Then what I want to do is I want to respect the line of the architect's roof. So I will pick this line here as the architect's roof. So once again, I'll do a reference plane. So click there, reference plane under structures tab. I'll click, say pick lines, and I'll click that line there. You'll see it's created a reference plane. Same with this side. Click that line and do it like that. And now I can just hide the architect's drawing because I already have my lines. You'll notice that the architectural roof hasn't been drawn exactly at 45 degrees. If I dimension this, you can see it differs. So usually what I do is I only do on the one side and I mirror them to the other side. But this roof is a bit different. So I'll just delete that. Well, just keep it to show the difference. So what I want to do is I want to draw a rafter on this specific reference plane. And the only way you can do that is by giving this reference plane a name. So let me just show you. If you go to structure, you want to set a work plane. So if you want to set the work plane, you can set it to certain levels and certain grids, but you can't see any reference lines or reference planes. So I'll click on this reference line. I'll change this and I'll call it rafter 1. Enter. And this one I'm going to call rafter 2. Let's make that a capital. So now if I go set work plane, you'll see that you have the rafter 1 and the rafter 2. So I'm going to set it to rafter 1, say OK. And now you can't draw it in a section view, you need to draw this in a plan view. And I'll select structural plan roof line and open. Now I know the rafter line or reference plane is from A to B and rafter 2 is from C to B. So what I'll do is I'll go structure, beam. I want the same size beam as the column, so let's just load that in, edit, load, framing. Just note there's a difference between structural columns and structural beams when loading it in. So if you load in a column size, it won't load in that same column size into a beam size. That's not how it works. That one there. Overwrite. Yes. And okay. Then I'm going to just put 3D snapping off because that's the last setting we used. Reference plane here. It's on rafter 1. It's what I want. And then I'll pick that more or less to the center and bring it to that side there. And you'll see it there. Then I'm going to escape, set work plane, rafter 2. Okay. Click on that beam, CS on your keyboard. Just check, yeah, rafter 2. Do the same, like that. And then let's go to our section, go to view. And there you can see we've drawn in both our beams or rafters. So if you want to, you can just see, I see now it's not the correct size. So let's just change it to 3. So either you can change your top constraint, your justification to center if you want, like that, or to the bottom. But we know that we need to respect that top there, so we keep it at the top. Now you can just pull this down to there and that one to there, and it will automatically join in the middle. Go to the 3D, and there we have our frame. So now to make this neater, you can do a connection here. So go to structure, go to this little arrow, click there, and automatically from Revit 2024 and earlier, you will have these connections preloaded in your Revit files. So now I want the knee bracing, which is that one, and I want that apex we just had now. Yeah, I'm gonna add them. Okay, then I'll say connection, go here and say knee. I'll click on the column, press Control on my keyboard, click on the beam, enter. Just give it a moment to do the calculation, and there you go. There you have your knee bracing connection. Obviously the bolts don't work out so great. You can always just change that. So you can go here, edit type. Then here you can have a preview. Just change it to 3D so you can see it there. This is great to have, that so that you don't have to reference back the whole time into your drawing. Go edit. Then look for bolts, bolt groups. So you have a group 1 and a group 2. So group 1 would be the 4 at the top. Just do that, 4 there, and group 2 is the 4 at the bottom. So if I say start distance, I make that 80. You can see how everyone or every bolt moves because I changed the start distance, which is the start distance 2. See there's the 2 there. And then I can change the start distance between the two groups there. I change that to 120. You can see it only moves that group. So 140. There you go. Oops, I accidentally pressed escape. So I need to do that again. That is my bad. Change it to, I think it was 80 and 140. And say okay. Apply and okay. And there you have your bolts spaced better for the connection. So click on that one, connection, CS on your keyboard, click on that one, control, click on that one, enter. There you have it. Do the apex, connection, click on that one, click on that one, just change it here to apex, enter. There you have an apex connection. You can also play around with the bolts like I just did. So easiest way then to handle this is to go and copy them over. So highlight it, go to roof level, it's still highlighted, CO on your keyboard, it copies the connections with, go to 3D, you can see there we have our column. Obviously this looks a bit odd, but we can also do a connection here. So this is actually, well, it's a connection but doesn't have bolts, it just miter them. Click on it, click there, enter, just say okay. You can see creates a miter for us, and then you can attach that column, attach to the base. Say that one there, see it does not want to work. That's okay, we can just bring it down. I know it needs to be -255. There you go. You can obviously do some sort of a plate here to do a better connection, but this is all for illustration purposes to understand how to work with your structure. Okay, that one can also obviously go down. Maybe instead of having that column, let's just delete that one and that one, and just take those two down to the foundation. Look how easy this is. Foundation, base offset 0. And they go down to the foundation. It looks a bit better now. Now you have a mitre there, but now you can click on that connection, delete it, and then you can just stop these beams short. Let's see if it works now. Modify, trim and extend. There it goes now. Let's trim and extend the other side. Let's just change that to medium. It's just to be able to select that face. Trim and extend, select that face. There you go. See if I had it on fine. I'll try that. It's not going to select the face. Just all these tricks that I learn because I work with this program quite a lot. So there we have our structure. We can, if you really want to, you can add in some purlins here for the roof structure. We can try that. So let's go to, let's just close some of our tabs here. And then we can go to the roof line. We can go structure, beam. Don't have a purlin, let's just load one. Load. Make sure you're under framing. Lip channel. Okay. Use that one. And then the reference plane is rafter 2. It's on B to C. Make the justification bottom of your purlin. Leave that reference level out because you've already set your reference plane, placement plane. And now we can go and place this. Can't see it. It's okay. Go to our 3D view. There you can see if I just rotate it like that, it's placed on that plane. So let's go to our level 2 and then into our section again. There you can see our purlin. I'm just going to move it up. Then I can align it like that. And then what I usually do is I copy it over. So I'm going to show you two ways I do this. I'm going to do this side first and then the left side. So you can either copy it over. Let's say you know your spacing of your purlin should be more or less, let's say, a meter. So I'll go 980, something like that. And then on the edge here, I will move that just to almost on the edge there. Now I know it's almost at a meter, all of them. So dimension them, DI on your keyboard. I'll use that line there as the origin of your purlin. I'll just dimension them all. Just make sure you click on that origin. And then once I've dimensioned them all, see there's like equal. Press equal and press it again. Now I can see they spaced at 881, which is less than a meter, so I'm happy with that. Then I want to do a purlin on that side, but I can't mirror these purlins. That's what I usually do. But the reason we can't mirror it is because of this angle not being the same. So usually the angle is always the same. I don't think you'll build a roof at a skew angle like this, but nonetheless, this is what the architect drawing shows. So let's draw in this purlin, but on the other side. So we'll go to the roof line again. Then I will say structure, set work plane, rafter 1, and okay. I want to place the beam, which is the purlin there. All the settings stays the same from the previous selection. I'll draw it from somewhere there to somewhere here. Go to my section. There I have it. I want the purlin to be in the other direction. So I say MM on my keyboard. Make sure that copy there is unticked. Click there and it copies it to the other, or mirrors it to the other side. I'm going to align it to there. And then I am going to array these purlins. So what I want to do is bring this purlin, let's go here, RP. I want to stop that purlin on that reference plane. RP is the shortcut. Let's just see, this is at 45. Let's see if this works. So what I'll do is I'll click on this purlin, go here to array. Then what I'll do is I need to select first point. I'll select the first point of the purlin. Let's just change this to medium. So okay, let's just do that from the start. The reason I changed this to medium is because then it doesn't have a radius. It's just the detail level. So it's easier to work with this. So let's just do it again. Click on it, array. I want to click on the first one. Before I do that, I don't want this to move it to the second, I want to move it to the last. So I want to take this purlin and I want to move it to that position. And then from there, I just say enter. But now I want to change this. We only have 2. See if I change it to 3. There's another one. 4, 5. So this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So change that to 6. There you also have 6 purlins. And you'll notice you can't see any connections because I changed the detail level. I changed back to fine. Now you can see it again, and now you have a radius. It's just better working with copying elements in a medium detail level. Now if I go to our 3D view and I just do this, you can see that we have created these purlins for us, and most of the structure is created and linked. So you can go and obviously change this 300 mil to whatever you like. If you want to change it, edit, duplicate maybe to 100 millimeter. Surface bed, okay. I must just maybe change the thickness. Okay, and okay. Then you can change those internal ones. Just hover your tab button. Okay, it doesn't want to work. I want to select it now. There it is, 100 mils. And there we go. So before we finish, let's just make sure all our work sets are on the correct, set to the correct elements, or elements to the correct work sets. Just PV on our keyboard, architect. See there's a floor, let's just bring in that floor. Copy, paste, align to same place. Okay. PV on the keyboard. If I've missed something, you can just obviously bring it in yourself. I think by this time you should understand how all of this works. So now I'm going to highlight. I'm going to say filter. So check none, floors. Make sure they're all on. Okay, they're obviously different now. So because there aren't many floors, select the entire project. Only going to select the surface bed. I will then change this to surface bed. And slabs, I know all are the same. Change that to slabs. So what's powerful about this, before I continue, to make it easier for us, review on your keyboard, worksets, you can go and switch off worksets. So let's say I want to hide my slabs, and I want to hide my, what did I also change now? My surface beds. There it is. Change or hide it, apply. Okay, now you can also see what is on certain worksets and what isn't. So let's highlight again, filter, check none, Let's make sure our structural foundations are all on foundations. They are not. Set it to foundations. Okay, just note, I see the architect has drawn that specific, it must actually be a surface bed as a foundation slab. So if you go to structure, he's taken this foundation slab and used it there, which is not 100% correct, because in my view, a foundation should be below the surface, even though this could be used for maybe a tank, so it could be a foundation slab in that sense. But I think for practicality, for work sets, you need to make sure this is done as a actual floor. So it's a quick fix. You can just go to level, I think this would be on level 2, yeah, on the high level. So to quickly adapt this, change this, go to floor, structural. Let's also make it, let's make it edit a surface bed, duplicate. Let's make a 150 surface bed. That to 150. Okay, and now I'm just gonna say pick line. So I'm gonna hover over that line and press tab on your keyboard. Tab again, and then it selects the whole perimeter of that floor, and click. We have that perimeter, finish, and as easy as that, you have your floor. Now let's just see, there it is. We can delete the foundation slab in the background, that one, put it to floor or surface bed. You'll see it's gonna be hidden now, and there it's hidden. Okay, so let's highlight everything again, filter, check none. We can check our structural framing, just select all of them. You can also do, let's just check if we can do the bolts. So apply and okay. Okay, the bolts we need to unselect. Apply, okay. Yeah, now you can actually select a work set. I see we can't. The reason for that is I think it's because of the beam system. Just unselect it. No, it's not. I think it's due to the fact that we selected different. Let me just show you again. Go to filters. It's always a, not a glitch, but there's always something in Revit. So just check. I think it's because we selected other primary and secondary. So let's say other. Yeah, now you can change it. I think you must select them, unfortunately, per set. So structural steel. This might seem tedious, but I promise you it's going to save you a lot of time in the future if everything is set to the correct layers and all of that. So yeah, just focus on that. VV on your keyboard. I'm just going to put off some of the other work sets so we can see what still needs to be done. The brick walls, hide, foundations, hide, and retaining walls, hide. Oh, we need to make a stair work set. We can do that now. So let's just do this, select entire project, work set, structural steel. This might be the easiest for the structural steel now. Do that, highlight all of the columns, structural steel. Okay, let's see if we put off the structural steel work set. Hide, okay. See now connections, select entire project, change that to structural steel. There we go. Also those, see those purlins, because they are set in an array, they are like a group. So you need to go edit the group and then change it. But it's actually better just say finish to ungroup them. Just ungroup them. Unfortunately, to do each one. So you have workarounds in Revit you need to do if you want to use the worksets correctly. There you go. Okay, so everything is now done in terms of worksets. Select all and just say use that settings, apply. Okay, let's quickly create the staircase workset. Stairs. Okay, yeah, we want it as the workset. Click that, stairs, and there we have it. Then we can just save. Okay, and that is it, guys. It's quite a long video, but hopefully you've learned a lot in this video working with architectural drawings. I can do other videos to go in depth how to actually go and put this on sheets and do filters in terms of color coding. I do have videos on that on my YouTube channel, so feel free to ask me questions in the comments. I can go, because you can go into a lot of depth in these types of drawings and modeling. And yeah, I hope you guys really enjoy this tutorial. Please do like and subscribe, and I can definitely do more videos for you guys. And once again, thanks for all your support. I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers, eh?